Hello, good evening, welcome to another live stream. I apologise for the small delay tonight. I was meant to start 15 minutes ago, had some technical problems. I had multiple pieces of hardware fail on me today, but I think everything's sorted now. Hopefully I haven't messed up anyone's plans for tonight. I say good evening, good morning if you're in another part of the world. I know people watch this from a lot of time zones. So again, I apologise if this is not a reasonable time for you to watch the stream. I'm going to vary this week to week. I'll try a different time. I'll do it like morning for me next week. See how that works out. Okay, I think everything's working now, so hopefully you should all see me soon. I guess I can start answering some of the questions people have been making already. Just as I said last week, don't take things I say to be like truths about Cambridge, because I can only give you my opinions. I can't give you official Cambridge advice. So please let me know if anything is not quite right with the stream tonight. Hopefully next week I'll be a bit more prepared and things won't break. So what we got tonight, one of my ideas for tonight was to use Twitter as well as the comments section to go with the video, but that hasn't worked out. I wanted to get tweets into the stream. We'll try that next week, so for now I'm just going to go with comments that are asked next to the video in the comments section on the YouTube player page. I hope that is okay for everybody. Somebody asked a while ago, hi Jake, do you have any advice regarding losing motivation when studying for a subject? And then, so that was a question from Dan Margits. An official Nicki Minaj replied saying, it's hard to lose motivation in Cambridge as everyone around you is studying. Now that is true, everyone around you is studying and that can be motivating, it often is. But not always true. Sometimes, depending on the person, it can even have the opposite effect. Because if everyone is just always studying, it makes it a very intense environment. Sometimes you can just get sick of it. So that's something to bear in mind. It depends on the person. Okay, I think people can see me now. You have to remember there's a short delay between me starting the stream and you seeing it. That's just one of the things that happens with the internet. Did you ever consider studying film at university? I probably considered it, but it was never a realistic thing that I wanted to do. I decided many years ago that I wanted to do computer science, so I stuck with that idea. I don't regret taking computer science. I never thought that studying film would be particularly useful. Like, no offense to anybody who does film at university. I just thought, for me, computer science would be... I would get more out of it, more value out of it, than studying film, because film and video stuff is something I thought I could do anywhere. Of course I could do computer science stuff anywhere. You can easily teach yourself these days, but I wanted to study it and learn more about it and keep film as more of just a hobby. Do Cambridge students think less of certain courses? I can't speak for every Cambridge student. I imagine there are some people that think their course or some courses are better than others. This is not a general opinion people have at Cambridge. Within your class at Cambridge, I apologise for not reading people's names with the questions. I just think I'd pronounce most of them wrong. Maybe I should be doing that. Anyway, within your class at Cambridge, was there many mature students? Not really. There are a few, I think, a couple. It's hard to tell without knowing someone how old they are, whether they're mature, because mature, like this person Tim Cruz says, is over 21. Even if they're like 24, 25, sometimes you just can't tell. And unless you get to know the person, you'd probably just assume that they're just a similar age to me. So there are a few. I don't really know how many because I've never surveyed everybody and asked what their age is. There's no one who's like really old. I think the lots of people in their early 20s, a few people later 20s, I think. I don't know of anyone who's older than like 30 doing computer science in my year. Maybe there are, maybe they just look really young. What interested you to do computer science as opposed to maths, engineering, or physics? Because, so I did think about maths and physics. I was never particularly attracted to engineering. I don't know why, it just doesn't appeal to me much. But I did consider the other two. But I decided against maths because I thought it was just too abstract and theoretical. And now I've learnt that computer science at Cambridge is a very theoretical course as well, but it is more applied than maths. It has like real world uses. I think maths is more just sometimes maths for the sake of it, but that's just how I see it. So that's why I didn't want to do maths, but I did consider it. Looking at it now, looking at the course, I'm glad I didn't because I don't think I'd have enjoyed it personally. Physics, again, it could have been an option, but I just preferred computer science. It's as simple as that. And having done physics in first year, I had to do 25% physics, 25% science, and I chose physics. I didn't really enjoy it, so I'm glad I didn't choose it as my degree. Of course, you can't really do physics at Cambridge anyway. You can do natural science and then slowly specialise, but it's a very broad subject compared to a physics degree at another university. Okay, what else have we got here? Did you do Duke of Edinburgh Award? No, I didn't. I've never done that. I never did, what's it called, an EPQ? I got those letters right. I never did one of those either. Are there any colleges that you would advise not applying for whatever reason? So there are some colleges that are miles away from the centre, like Homerton and Girton, and people often laugh at everyone who goes to those colleges because they've got such a long journey to lectures and to shops and supermarkets and everything basically. But I don't imagine the college is bad. That's literally the only thing people have a problem with is the distance away from the centre. That is something that's important to consider, the location of the college. But apart from that, it's all personal preference. There are some colleges that I didn't want to apply for, but that's just because I didn't like the size of them, or I didn't like the architecture, or I didn't like the rooms, or I didn't like something small about them. There were lots to choose from, and I had a hard time deciding, so any small reason I had against a college, I was just using that as an excuse to cross it off the list. So it is largely a personal preference, so I can't really say don't apply to this college as rubbish, because that's not fair. Everyone loves their own college wherever they end up. Even people who have an open application, or people who get pooled and go to a different college to the one that they applied to, they still end up loving their college. Everybody does. Okay. Did you choose Queen's to avoid TSA? TSA is the Thinking Skills Assessment. It's a test that you have to take for some subjects as part of the application process. And I didn't avoid TSA, I had to take TSA. I had it in between my two interviews. So, no, I didn't choose Queen's to avoid it because Queen's make Compskis do it. It's not too bad. I chose Queen's to avoid doing STEP, which is the maths test. I think some colleges ask for that for computer science. Now I've heard that is a really hard test and a bit of a nightmare. Thinking skills assessment in comparison is much better. You don't have to spend months preparing for it really. And I didn't find it to be a particularly stressful experience, especially compared to the interviews. The interviews were like the harder part of the day. The thinking skills assessment was like an hour and a half maybe. Did it on a computer, I think. Mostly multiple choice. I can't remember much about it. There's an A-level course called Critical Thinking. It is very similar to that, which I did. That worked out well. I say similar to critical thinking. There are elements of critical thinking that help with the thinking skills assessment. So you don't have to do the A-level course. I did it. I never had my results aggregated because I didn't do that well in it, actually. So that means I don't actually have the qualification. I don't have the A-level. But find a critical thinking book and just read a bit about it if you're going to do thinking skills assessment. That's the best advice I can give for that, because I found that quite helpful. So again, as usual, apologies to everybody whose questions I don't answer. Last week, this stream in an hour got over 1,000 comments. That works out as like a question every 3 seconds. I obviously can't answer that many, so I'll have to just pick a few to answer. Thank you everybody for asking though. It gives me plenty to talk about. What IDE do you use for Java, and do you write Java on your Mac? So, for those of you who don't know, an IDE is an integrated development environment. It's just the software you write code in, as opposed to a text editor. It gives you more features. I don't really have a favorite Java IDE, to be honest. Lots of people use Eclipse, but I've never liked it. I actually hate Eclipse. NetBeans, I think, is better. I use NetBeans sometimes. There's another one, I've forgotten what it's called. I'm trying to look through my applications to find it, that I use as well. I forget things like this when people ask me. This is really irritating. Yeah, if I remember I'll let you know. But yes, I write Java on my Mac because I don't really use Windows these days. We do a lot of Java at Cambridge. We have a lot of courses and lectures on Java, so that's basically the only reason I write it. Otherwise I wouldn't be using Java. But Eclipse is a very popular one. I don't really understand why, because IntelliJ, that's what it's called. It just came to me. IntelliJ is my favorite Java IDE for OS X. There's a free version available. That's what I use. Okay, let's move on to something other than Java IDEs that I can't remember the names of. I've just lost it. I think I just saw a question about which of the universities I applied for. This is a question I get every time, so let's answer it now. Let's answer the common questions and get them over with. So, I applied to Edinburgh, Nottingham, York, Durham and Cambridge. Durham was my second choice, my insurance, whatever it's called. So that's where I'd have been if I didn't get my grades for Cambridge. A-level results, I got 4 A stars in maths, further maths, physics and computing. GCSEs, I got 5 A stars and 3 A's. And no, I didn't do many GCSEs, that's all I did. GCSEs, everyone wants to know how important those are as well. Very important for getting into college, so work hard and get as many A stars as you can. Obviously, once you get A-levels, GCSEs become less important, but for Cambridge, they do still look at your GCSEs. So they have to be good. They don't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to get 13 A stars like some people do. I certainly didn't. So I think they just have to be like generally good GCSEs, just a set of reasonable GCSEs. So they can look at it and say, yeah, this person was fine at GCSE and then they've done well at A-level. A-levels are what they really look for. And then, of course, the interviews and everything else that add to your application. They look at GCSEs a bit more if they've got 2 people and they can't decide between them, and the GCSE results can be used in that situation. Tips on being a freelance web developer. I think it's difficult to be freelance web developer. It's hard to like get started and find work. I haven't done much myself. Having a good portfolio is probably the most important thing. You need to be able to show people, like, look at what I can do. I've done this before. I can do a similar thing for you. So I guess take any job that you get. This applies for any sort of freelance work, not just web development. When you're trying to get started, don't be picky about which jobs you take. If you get offered something, go for it, because if you say no to things, then you're not going to have like a portfolio of work to show people, and you're not really going to make progress. You need to start somewhere. As a northerner, do you feel like there aren't enough northerners at Cambridge? At Queen's, I feel, yes, there's hardly anyone from the north, particularly the northeast at Queen's, I've found. I'm not really sure why. Lots and lots of people are from London at Cambridge, and everybody seems to be from Essex and Chelmsford. Everyone's from there. I don't know why. I don't know what they put in the water. They all end up at Cambridge. They're all from the same school as well, it seems. I think it would be nice to be around more people with the same accent as me. Depends on the college though. And I guess the year, it's probably quite random how many people from each area of the country they get each year. Oh, the comments are scrolling too fast to read them in time. Which universities did you get offers for? So I guess this is related to all the ones I applied for. I got offers from all 5. And do you know any Canadian students? I don't think I do. I imagine there are some. I hope I don't, and I haven't forgotten. I can't think of anyone from Canada that I know. Okay, I'm going to skip some of these questions that I've answered previously. Otherwise, people who like watch the stream after the event and watch all of them, I don't know if anyone's done that, but they'll get really bored of me answering the same things each time. How did you learn to play the ukulele? That's an interesting question. Different, at least, anyway. I don't know, just look on the internet and find out how to play some chords. I never really learned that much. Just look at diagrams at where to put your fingers and then just strum along to songs, that's all I did. If you had to choose an option other than physics in the first year, what would you choose? Is it really that bad? I did the same A-levels as you. Okay, I keep saying physics was awful in the first year, and I think that it's unfair of me not to suggest an alternative or explain this a bit more. So, very quickly, just to recap how this works. Computer science, first year you do 50% computer science, 25% maths, and then 25% you choose something else. Science, there are a few other options, like psychology. Most people choose physics, and a lot of people find it really difficult and therefore don't enjoy it. So, would I... See, the problem is, I did physics at A-level, and I didn't do any of the other options like chemistry at A-level. So, maybe I would have found it even harder to do something else. So, even though I didn't enjoy physics, it might still have been the best option. Psychology is a good choice, I guess, if you're interested in it. I know someone who... You can't do it without previous knowledge. Obviously, it would help. It's hard for me to recommend something else because it does depend on what you're interested in and what you've done previously. If you've done the same subjects as me, physics, if you enjoy physics, you might enjoy the first year option at Cambridge. I know some people who do and didn't have a problem with it. All I can recommend is if you're thinking about choosing physics, look at what the course contains. I'm sure on the website somewhere you can find out what is covered in which modules you do, and just see if you think you'd enjoy it, and also read into it a little bit if you've got time and try to answer some questions. Maybe you can find somewhere on the website, I've never looked if this is publicly available, some of the maybe supervision type questions we get, and just try to get a better understanding about what it's like, because it's not the same as A-level physics. You're not just going to do A-level physics again. It's much harder, it's more theoretical, it goes much more in depth, you learn new things. I loved A-level physics. I found physics first year Cambridge much more boring. but I don't have a recommendation as an alternative because I think I might choose physics again if I had to, simply because I didn't have any better knowledge of any other subject. Someone asked me this last week, do you have any Indian friends? Yes, I do. Will you ever make videos about music production? Maybe. I don't think I'm good enough to make videos about that. I need to be like reasonably good at something myself before I can explain it to somebody else. How did you feel on AS/A level results day? Happy, I think. I can't imagine I'd have been sad. I got the results. I got better results than I needed. So I was thrilled when I got my results. Was it your decision to apply to Cambridge or your teachers? It was my decision. When I was in year 10, I was like 15 years old, to translate to something more understandable. I went on a trip to Cambridge, stayed for one night at Jesus College, and I loved the city. That is when I decided that I wanted to apply to Cambridge. So that was before I started sixth form. I changed school for sixth form, so I decided way before I applied that I wanted to. Oh, let's talk about bikes. How easy is it to get a bike? I'm from overseas and I don't want to bring mine. Is it true that you can buy a stolen /old/abandoned bike at a police sale at the beginning of the year? Yes, that is true, although I think it's very difficult to get one because there aren't many that they sell compared to how many people want them. I never tried, I never went to that thing. It does happen. But I got told that it's difficult to actually get one. Of course you can buy one, it's easy to buy a bike in Cambridge, but they're very expensive to buy new. You'd be spending hundreds of pounds on a new bike. I don't know what to suggest apart from that to try to get a used one. It's difficult. It's the hardest part is at the beginning of the year because everybody starts and everybody wants one. If you can wait a while, you might have a better luck later on in the year. End of the year is when everyone who's leaving is trying to sell used bikes, so that's probably a reasonable time to get one. So it is possible if you've got no other option. If you're from overseas and you can't bring a bike, yeah, you can get one. So you don't have to try to make any other arrangements, I don't think. Just be prepared for it to be more expensive than another city. Bikes are very popular in Cambridge. What was my offer for Cambridge? I think it was A-star, 1 A-star, 2 A's, but the A-star couldn't be in maths. It had to be in further maths, physics or computing. So I was expecting A-star, AA as the offer, but then they added this little extra condition just to make it a little bit harder, and then I had to do a thinking skills assessment, but I'd never even found out my result for that, so I don't know what I was meant to get. Do you know how to program in C++, C#, or C? They're all quite different languages. Yeah, I know some of all of them. I'm not brilliant at any of them though. If I have time, I'll make some videos, some introductory videos about them. We'll see. I much prefer web development to like programming in C. So that's why all the ones I've done so far have been web development tutorials. Do people at Queen's call themselves queers? No, I don't think they do. How did I manage to go to Jesus when I was 15? It was schools from the northeast of England. There's a yearly trip for a couple of people from each school in the area to go. I think it's partly organised by Jesus College. It's partly organised by some. It's an organisation called Aim Higher, which try to encourage people to apply to university and to apply to like Oxbridge if they wouldn't have otherwise bothered. And so I just found out about it through school. The similar things happen in other areas of the country, but to other colleges. a lot of colleges are associated with a particular region in the country, and they have like trips from schools every year from there. I did the Jesus trip twice actually. I did it again just before I applied when I was like 17 or something. Same thing, one night in Jesus, organised by the college and aim higher. I can't give you a link to how to do that. You have to. I did it through school. Oh, someone just mentioned there are summer schools. Yes, I did a summer school in Cambridge. I don't know if it's still going. But that was also... Was that an aim higher thing? It might have been. It was also to encourage people to apply. The condition for the Cambridge summer school is, I think, you had to be from a low-income household to be able to go to it. It wasn't like unique at Oxford, where anybody could apply. They had a requirement. You had to be poor. I don't have a link for it right now. But Cambridge does summer schools. I did one at Oxford and Cambridge. They were really fun. If you can apply to either of them, you should really do it. I did it 3 years ago now, and I loved both of them. I made some good friends from, particularly the Cambridge one. All the people who did the computer science summer school there for a week. We actually, a few months later, we all went to Alton Towers together. So that was fun. After 3 years, would you have chosen a different college? I don't know. Queen's is okay. I don't really know what other colleges are like. I've never spent much time in another college. It's hard to compare. Is there any rivalry between colleges? Yeah, there's loads of rivalry between colleges. It's all friendly rivalry, but there's a lot, and everybody hates St. John's. That's a thing. What's your opinions on Macs? Why do you prefer Macs over PC? Lots of reasons. I used to use Windows for years. I think I still spent more time with Windows than I have with OS X in my life. I just love how Macs are designed. They're nice. OS X, I think, is just thought through better. I found personally I've had less problems with it. Things, I hate to say it, but just work. Obviously you still have problems. The stream today was delayed by 15 minutes because I was having problems, although that wasn't the fault of OS X. I just prefer it. I just prefer the way it looks, prefer the way it feels. I use a lot of Apple software. Well, I say a lot, they don't have that much. I use Final Cut and I use Logic, which you can't get on Windows. So there's some reasons. Do you have to do many essays at Cambridge? It depends on the subject. I don't. Computer science doesn't have many essays. Hardly any at all first year. Did few this year. Compared to essay subjects, mine weren't really essays. Our essays are like 2 sides of A4. In the exam, you have to write some. You can avoid them actually if you answer particular questions, but you spend like 25 minutes doing an essay, so they're not really hardcore. Third year you have to do a few more. Other subjects, essay-based subjects, obviously you write loads, but I'd have hated that. I'm glad I don't have to do that. Are the summer schools for international students too? I think so. I think it's... I don't know, you have to check. I don't have any of the details for these summer schools to give you right now. How many girls do your course? I think there are about 10 do computer science in my year, out of about 80 in total. So it's quite bad compared to a perfect 50-50 ratio, but for computer science, it's not too bad. And Cambridge often has a higher percentage of boys anyway, so I think it's pretty good. Computer science is a very male-dominated subject, and I think every year they must get more girls doing it. Hopefully eventually it'll be more like 50-50. Does Cambridge have a soccer team? I think Cambridge has an everything team. How did your exams go? Pretty well, I think. I wasn't sure at the time. They were horrendous at the time, sitting 3-hour exams. People from other countries, I know in other countries you have longer exams, and to some people 3 hours sounds short, but 3 hours for me is horrible because A-level exams are only an hour and a half. So to double that time was not particularly pleasant. But I ended up with a 2-1 this year, so I was pleased with that. What universities do other friends go to, and are they happy there? I've got friends all over the country at unis, and I think they're all happy. Have you done any societies/clubs? Yes. What have I done? Last year I basically did nothing. First year I did trampolining for a few weeks, but decided to stop in place of doing ballroom and Latin dancing. I did that for 2 terms, I think. Did you check out the black magic? How do you pronounce it? Atom? Yeah, I already knew about that. It's far too expensive. I'm using... Can I lift this up without cables falling out? I'm using this thing to switch between titles and the camera. This was £3 compared to £3,000 for the black magic thing. So, I'm going to go with this. Guys, please be sensible with the questions. I'm only going to answer sensible ones. Have you met Stephen Hawking? No, not yet. But it's possible. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to have the chance to speak to him, but some people have seen him. He is often around. What else should I answer here? Far too many questions. I can't keep up. I'm going to take a break in just a moment. Let me choose one more. How to get an internship in the UK? You just apply for one. Lots of companies offer them. There's a careers fair for computer science and probably many other subjects at Cambridge every year at the computer lab, and there are just loads of companies there offering internships. I guess I haven't applied for any yet. I really should be doing one this summer. Most of my friends are, but I'm not. I'm sitting at home doing this instead, because obviously this is going to get me a job. But it's really easy to apply for internships, not as easy to get them. You have to do interviews and tests. Some of them are crazy and give you like 5 interviews where you have to program in each one. But I think everyone I know who in computer science who wanted an internship managed to get one this summer. But yeah, I've been lazy. I haven't bothered. This is going to be a problem for me probably next year, but when I want a job, I'll worry about that later. Okay, going to take a very short break. I'll be back in just a minute. I know that I should do an FAQ thing. It's to avoid answering the same questions over and over again. I haven't got around to that yet. I've been too lazy. I'll do it eventually. And I need to put some sort of FAQ thing on my website, and link to it on the contact page, because I'm sorry, I do want to help as many of you as I can, but there's so many emails I get for people asking things that I've answered so many times in videos and on Twitter and in other messages I've sent to people. And the purpose of that contact page is for people to contact me if they want to give me money to do some work for them, not for me to tell you what my GCSE results were. As I do want to help, but I don't have time to help everybody. I do have some things of my own to do. Okay, got any more interesting questions that are about sensible topics? Okay, I can't speak. I basically can't speak any other language other than English. I can't say hola mi, lamo, Jake, I hago, videos, para, YouTube. I don't know how to pronounce that. Where would I like to work? I don't know. Sorry for all the sirens outside. I don't know what's happening tonight. I would have closed my window. I close my windows when I record videos for YouTube, but it would be too hot with these lights on for an hour. So I haven't. Anyway, what was I saying? Where would I like to work? I don't know. I don't know what country. I don't know what I want to do as a job. I don't know where I want to do it. I'm having a bit of a problem deciding what I want to do this time next year, because I will have graduated. I've got no plans. It's pretty bad, to be honest. Don't do this. Don't ignore making plans for the future. I'm just hoping something's going to come along and everything will be fine. I don't think it will be, though. I'm thinking about maybe, my plan at the moment is to travel a little bit. I don't know where, I don't know with who, but I would like to do that. Then try to get a job, and then maybe the year after do a master's if that seems like a useful thing to do. I wouldn't mind doing a master's, not at Cambridge. I think I'll be sick of Cambridge by then, and I won't have got a first, which is a requirement. But somewhere else could be fun. But I'd maybe want to take a break for a year first and earn some money so I could pay for a master's, because they're expensive. I know my Spanish accent was awful. I don't have one. This is why I ignored you asking me to say that for so long. Everyone stopped asking proper questions. I should just prepare some things that I can just talk about and just ignore all these crazy people. How fast is the internet at Cambridge? I can answer that one. Okay. I take that back, I can't answer that one. It varies between college. Some colleges probably have, I think every college has decent speed. At Queen's it's 100 megabits a second, at the computer lab it's 300 megabits a second. Computer lab is crazy. Upload is like 100 megabits a second. I need to start uploading all my YouTube videos there. Streaming there, I could stream in like 4K. That would be great. Other colleges, I don't know internet speeds. I've never found out, but I assume they're all pretty good. Oh, you were okay, Simon, getting job offers? Maybe I will be as well. I'm not massively bothered about going straight into like a brilliant job where I'm going to be paid a really high salary. I mean, people who did an internship in between first and second year, and people who are doing an internship this year and have much more experience than me, I mean, they've worked harder and they deserve a better job. So I won't be particularly disappointed, I don't think, if my job, whatever I end up with, is worse than someone who has spent 2 summers doing internships. I mean, I'm basically taking a holiday here for like 12 weeks. What was your AS level UMS average? This is another FAQ answerable question. 95.6, I think. I might be wrong. I worked it out ages ago. Oh, everyone's asking lots of questions now. What did you write in your Cambridge Supplementary Questionnaire? Not much, actually. I don't think. I can't quite remember. I had no idea what to write there. I still don't know what they expect. I think I made excuses about my philosophy and ethics A-level results. They weren't as good as anything else, and it wasn't my fault. Particularly for the ethics module, we were meant to spend like 6 months learning it, and we spent more like 3 weeks, which wasn't fair. And then I was expected to take the exam. So I think I had just a sentence about that, and maybe I mentioned something about how I liked the idea of the Cambridge supervision system. But honestly, I have no idea what they expect people to write in that, if anything at all. So I can't give you advice there. I might ask somebody. I'll ask my director of studies about that. I forgot about that part of the application. I keep looking to my left. There's a window there. I keep looking outside. I'm sorry. Although it's quite dark now. Did you find it easy making friends at Cambridge? Yes. Basically. When you finish your holiday, do you say to people I'm going back to Queen's or Cambridge? Going back to Cambridge probably. Dunno. Varies. Depends who I'm talking to. That's not really something that matters, is it? What particular modules from the degree have you really enjoyed? I enjoyed computer graphics and image processing. I didn't expect to, but I enjoyed complexity theory. It sounded like an awful course, but I actually found it interesting. It was hard, but I enjoyed that one. Most of them, to be honest, I haven't enjoyed. But I think those two have been my favourite from this year. Oh, you said you'll make a video showing a day in the life of a Komsky, but I don't think you ever did. I have, I just haven't edited it yet. I spent a day filming everything. It was like the hardest day all term because I got up at like 5 o'clock to do it. Because I was up earlier to prepare filming, like the normal get up early to set up cameras and go back to bed and do it again. I did that last term, and since I've only just started uploading last term's videos, I'm just waiting until I get to like when I naturally did it, so that'll be coming very soon. Hopefully, like I said, I haven't edited it. I don't know how it's going to turn out. So, hopefully that'll be coming soon. How do they divide the rooms at Queen's? The first years get the rooms in the nice old buildings? No, the other way around. First years get rooms in the new building. Although there's a bit of choice, you can go in an older room if you want. Most people go in the rooms called crypts. I have a room tour from my room in crypts last year on YouTube if you're interested, and there'll be a room tour soon of my room that I had this year in a building called Fisher. After first year, you can basically go anywhere in college. There's a room ballot every year for everyone to choose their room. I'll explain this in some video sometime. I'm planning to do some more just videos explaining things about applying to Cambridge, results you need to get, personal statement, and just specific things about Queen's. Yeah, I'll edit the video as soon as I can, and I'll make those other ones when I get a chance. Do Cambridge have any modules on quantum computing in their computer science course? I don't think so. I don't think they do any quantum computing. I think Oxford do. Don't quote me on that, but I've heard they do some quantum computing at Oxford. I don't think we do though. Maybe that'll change sometime in the near future. Oh, what was that? Did you have to get special permission from the uni/your college to vlog? Not to vlog, but obviously the 2 videos I made about supervisions and interviews where I filmed a supervision and we did like a fake interview. I obviously got permission for that from all the people involved and from the college. Had to check with like the admissions department, and I think it ended up being the email was CC to the dean of college to check that it was okay, but they were happy with it. But normal vlogs, I don't see why anybody would be able to stop me. Would you like to work at Google and why? Working at Google used to be like my dream job. I don't know anymore. It would obviously be nice. Google is apparently a great place to work. I think it would be very difficult to get into. Even with a degree from Cambridge, there's still going to be a lot of competition, because I can't imagine they take that many people, and lots of people of course want to apply because it's apparently such a great place to work. So if I could, apparently in part 2 there's quantum computing. I apologise, I was wrong. I obviously have no idea what I'm studying next year. I've done this every year, started the year having not looked at the modules. I'm going to have to this time though, because I need to choose some. I don't just go to all of the lectures. Okay, so there's you can do quantum stuff at Cambridge. I apologise. I really shouldn't be the person giving everyone so much advice here. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And apologies to everyone who had plans for 9 o'clock / whatever time it is for you right now. I'm going to keep going until 15:15 since I was a little delayed with the beginning. So I've got another 15 minutes or so to answer some more questions. Do you have a close relationship with your lecturers? Absolutely not. No relationship at all. Mostly. I find lectures, the lecturer comes in and he just talks at us. There's usually no communication between the people listening to the lecturer and the lecturer. People generally don't ask questions. Some lecturers, it's not quite like that. Some lecturers will ask us questions and get people to be a bit more involved. Most don't. Most lectures, everybody just sits in silence and then they leave. Actually, they'll take questions at the end. Most lectures, people will go down to the front with questions. I never have questions. I've never done that. But generally, there's not like a strong relationship between the lecturer and students. But we have supervisions, and there's obviously a strong relationship between supervisors and supervisees. If we have problems and questions, they are the people we go to. And if we want to talk to someone about non-academic things, there are many people in college that we can talk to instead. If you've got just problems in your life, you wouldn't be talking to a lecturer. But there are plenty of people in college that can help. 5 AM, you should be asleep. Next week I'm going to do it earlier. I'll try to do one. I'll try to stream morning, maybe early afternoon. Watch my tweets sometime during the week for more information about that. I haven't quite decided when I'm going to do it. Depends what my plans are next weekend. Maybe I'll change the day as well. Would Friday be better for anybody? No, I can't be asking the people who are watching this. Obviously Sunday is okay for you people. I need to ask the people who aren't watching, would Friday be better? Because I guess there are some people who would watch and who are busy. Anyway. Have you ever had a scary supervision? Yeah, my... certainly the first few supervisions at the beginning of the year. Particularly with my now retired director of studies from first year. He supervised maths. He was a little bit scary. You didn't want to get on the wrong side of him. Most of my supervisors have been PhD students and have been fairly young, so they're not as intimidating. Which is great because it means you can be friends with them really, and it makes it much easier to ask questions and have like a conversation about the topic, about exams or about whatever. And they're much more approachable, particularly if we want to ask a question outside of the supervision. We can email them. I mean, we can even talk to them on Facebook if we need to. But my director of studies, he obviously wasn't somebody we could add on Facebook. So it depends on the supervisors whether there's a good relationship there or not. But where does that start with his lecturers? No, not so much. Have you ever had anyone come up to you in the street and be like, "Oh my God, Jake Wright"? Yes. I've had, maybe not with any enthusiasm. I've had a few people recognise me. It's all like, "Are you Jake Wright?" Nobody's been like excited to see me. I don't blame them. But yeah, in one of the videos that I'm going to upload soon, I talk about how one of the bouncers at a club recognised me. That was funny. So I'm friends with him now. Bouncer at Cindy's watches my videos. I don't know what to answer. It's hard. I'm sorry about all the silence. It's hard to read the questions and choose one to talk about and keep talking at the same time. Interview atmosphere. No, interviews, they're very relaxed, I think. It probably depends who is interviewing you. But mine, it was a very informal, relaxed environment. It was quite good. It makes you feel much more relaxed and less stressed once you start having the interview. It's more just a conversation, I think, than... So it's not like you sitting in front of this scary panel of interviewers who are asking impossible questions. It's nothing like that. Hopefully my interview video that I did can give you some sort of idea about the format that a supervision takes. Are Cambridge courses flexible? Do you get many options? Computer science, no. First and second year you get no options. Everybody does the same thing. Third year you get more choice. But even though I'm starting in like a month, I don't know exactly what I choose, how many I choose, how much choice I get. I can explain more about that in a couple of months once I've found out, because I'll have had to do it. Where would I apply for a master's outside of Cambridge? I don't know. That's something I need to look into. I want to look into other countries to see if there's anywhere abroad I'd like to do a master's. But I don't know. We'll see. Again, I'm just so unorganised for life after I graduate. I mean, I've spent my whole life in education, obviously, up to now, and the next step has always just been, like, not really I've had nothing to think about really. Even going to university, I knew I wanted to go to university, I knew what I wanted to study, I knew I wanted to go to Cambridge, I knew some of the other universities I wanted to apply to, picked a couple more to complete the 5, and then got offers from them. So everything worked out great and I never had any hard decisions to make. This is the first time in my life where things don't just fall into place for me. I'm gonna have to do it myself, and I don't know what to do. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Why do people mention ABBA every week? No, I don't particularly want to be an ABBA tribute. What a strange thing to ask. Do you study on a loan or a grant? Yeah, I get a student loan and grant. That's how I live. That's basically where all my money comes from. Just a normal student loan from student finance. Have you ever tried getting a job and played the Cambridge card? No, I haven't actually. I haven't done any work since I started Cambridge. I don't know if that's something I could do. I don't know whether I could just say I go to Cambridge and then be offered a job. You'll hire me for £5 an hour? To do what? Am I dreading my final year? I might be if I knew what was in it. I don't know. I'm fairly relaxed about it. I feel like since I'm going to have to make some decisions about which modules I do and what I study, that's going to make it a bit harder, because I have to think about it a bit more and decide what I enjoy and what I'm going to do well in. Then obviously all the courses are going to be harder, I assume, in third year. I imagine they're going to get harder every year. So there's that. And lots are probably going to be, maybe there'll be more theoretical. I don't know. I don't know why I'm trying to guess what the courses are like. I could just go and have a look. I'll find out. I'm not dreading it. I'll find out very soon. My summer is half over now. I can't believe it. How did you apply for a loan? Student finance website. The whole experience is horrendous, which you'll all find out when you apply for a loan. You'll get the loan eventually, but they don't make it easy. But just like the government student finance website is how you apply. Don't know about other countries. This is just for England. Do you do much reading? No, I'm really bad for reading. I hardly do any. That goes for like just general reading that's unrelated to computer science, just like fiction, and for computer science stuff, I don't read much about my subject, not as much as I should. Yeah, this just goes with my general bad organisation. I don't think I'm a good role model. Are you allowed to use a laptop during lectures? Yes, you are. Most people don't, but you get maybe 10%, 10 to 20% of people in the lecture would have a laptop, or maybe a tablet. Yeah, maybe a bit less with a full laptop. There's nothing stopping you, but most people find it we get printed lecture notes given to us, which are just like usually printouts of the presentations that the lecturers use, and most people just like write notes by hand on those. But there's nothing wrong with using a laptop if that is the approach you want to use. Okay, it is just about 9:15, so that is, I'm afraid, the end of this stream. Sorry if you couldn't watch the last bit because I messed up. I should have started preparing earlier. I'll be more organised next week, and I'll let you know through Twitter what time I'm going to be doing it. So, thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate everyone asking questions, giving me plenty to talk about. 110 people watching now. As usual, that is just crazy. So, next week, I'll see you then. Good night.